All right, let's talk about Juicero. You've probably heard the name, right? It's become this legendary cautionary tale in the tech world, a real symbol of Silicon Valley excess. Today, we're going to dig in and really dissect the anatomy of this spectacular failure. It all really starts with this number, and it's just staggering. $120 million. Let that sink in for a second. This wasn't just a little seed money. This was a massive pile of venture capital from some of the smartest investors in the business, all betting that Juicero was, in fact, the future of juice. And the vision they were selling? Well, it was intoxicating, to say the least. One of the early investors actually said it would be a magical experience equal to the iPhone. The iPhone. You see, they weren't pitching a kitchen appliance. They were pitching a technological revolution in a box. So you can just imagine the level of hype and the sky-high expectations. But here's the twist, and it's the one that brought the whole thing down. What if this incredible, beautifully engineered multi-million-dollar machine performed a task that you could do for free with your own two hands? That is the absurd, almost unbelievable question at the very core of this whole story. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with that $120 million squeeze, look at Silicon Valley's juice stream, and the beautiful but useless machine they built. Then we'll get to the exact moment it all fell apart, decode why it was really doomed from the start, and pull out some really crucial lessons from the collapse. All right, Section 1, Silicon Valley's juice stream. I mean, how in the world did so many brilliant, experienced investors get this so wrong? Well, to get to the bottom of that, you really have to understand the pitch. It was the perfect story for the perfect audience at the perfect time. This slide really gets to the heart of the delusion. The gap between the story they told investors and what was actually happening in the real world, it's just massive. I mean, look at the pitch on the left. It's a slam dunk on paper. You've got a founder who'd already had a big win. You've got this killer analogy, the Keurig for juice. Investors heard that and saw dollar signs, dreaming of Keurig's $14 billion exit. And of course, it was plugged right into the massive health and wellness trend. Perfect. But the reality, they were solving a problem that didn't really exist. They built this super high-tech, expensive machine to solve the inconvenience of juicing for maybe the wealthiest 1% of people. The value just wasn't there. And you have to understand, this wasn't some fringe idea funded by unknowns. We are talking about the absolute A-list of venture capital. Google Ventures, Kleiner, Perkins, even the Campbell Soup Company got in on it. When firms like these put their name and their money behind something, it sends a powerful signal to the market. It makes the idea feel, well, it makes it feel inevitable. So that brings us to the machine itself. A beautiful, but ultimately useless machine. What did that $120 million actually create? Well, to be fair, it was an incredible marvel of engineering, but one with a single fatal flaw. This table lays it all out perfectly. The level of over-engineering here is just mind-boggling. Look at the left column. 4 tons of pressing force. The founder loved to boast that was enough to lift 2 Teslas. And for what? To get juice out of a little bag? It had Wi-Fi and a QR code scanner, basically DRM for juice, to lock you into their ecosystem. When people took these things apart, they found custom gearboxes and beautifully machined parts worthy of a luxury car. The entire thing was a masterpiece of solving a simple problem in the most complicated and expensive way possible. And all of that crazy engineering meant it had a crazy price tag. They launched it at $700 for a juicer. Yeah, you can imagine how that went over. Sales were awful. So just 10 months after launch, they were forced to slash the price down to $399. Now, for anyone watching the industry, that is a massive red flag. A 40% price cut so soon? It's screaming that your product isn't selling. And even that wasn't enough to fix the fundamental problem. So for a year or so, these problems were kind of an open secret within Silicon Valley. But then came the moment it all unraveled. This was the turning point. One single news story that took all that private skepticism and made it very public ridicule. And once that story broke, the collapse was just breathtakingly fast. Take a look at this timeline. April 2017, Bloomberg drops the bombshell video showing you can just squeeze the juice packs with your hands and get the same result. It went viral instantly. The company panicked, offering full refunds, but the damage was done. Just 3 months later, they're laying off a quarter of the company, and by September 1st, they're gone. The whole operation shut down, less than 5 months from a viral video to completely defunct.
Now, it's really easy to blame that one Bloomberg story. But the truth is, that was just the final nail in an already sealed coffin. The company was already sinking. So let's decode the systemic failure, because there were core flaws here that made this collapse pretty much inevitable from the start.
Okay, this is Business 101, and it's where everything really falls apart. The unit economics were a total and complete disaster. Just look at the math. It cost them about $750 to manufacture one machine. They launched it at a price of $699. So right out of the gate, they're losing $50 on every single sale. Then they cut the price to $399. Now they're losing over $350 on every unit they ship. And this isn't even counting marketing, salaries, or rent. You simply cannot build a business when you lose that much money on your core product. It's impossible. And what happens when your unit economics are that broken? Well, you get this, a cash burn of $4 million every single month. That's the amount of money just flying out the door simply to keep the lights on. It puts you on this desperate treadmill where you constantly need to raise more capital just to survive. And that is a game you can't win forever.
And it wasn't just the hardware. The entire business model was a logistical trap. Their system was built around these fresh juice packs, which had a shelf life of only about a week. And remember that QR scanner? It was designed to enforce that expiration date. So what does that mean? It means you can't have a big central warehouse and ship everywhere. To expand nationally, they would have had to build expensive new factories in every single region. This model was incredibly costly and made profitable growth nearly impossible.
So, after all that, what can we actually learn from this? What are the big takeaways for anyone building a business today? Well, the wreckage of Juicero gives us a really clear, actionable playbook, a masterclass in what not to do. We can boil this whole mess down to 4 crucial lessons. Number 1, validate the problem, not your cool solution. Before you build a machine with 4 tons of pressing force, maybe just check if people actually struggle to squeeze a bag. Number 2, beware this siren song of over-engineering. Complexity adds cost, not value, unless the customer actually feels it. 3, unit economics are not optional. You can't just make it up in volume if you're losing money on every sale. And finally, number 4, acknowledge your supply chain reality. A brilliant product is worthless if you can't actually get it to your customers profitably. You see, the Juicero story isn't just about a failed juice company from a few years ago. It's a timeless cautionary tale. It forces us to look critically at these so-called innovations we see all around us. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What solution on the market right now is just another brilliantly over-engineered problem, just waiting to be squeezed by hand?